Hello, welcome to another edition of The Naked Truth. My name is John Singletary.
And my name is Ramon Roan.
Today we're going to talk about low voter turnout. Unfortunately in America what we have is a situation where even in towns where the majority of the population is African American, we normally have less than 20% of the African Americans to turn out to vote. We have to continually request and to encourage African American voters to not only get registered, but to also show up at the polls and to go in and vote for the person who is acting in their best interest.
Historically, because we're coming up with the midterm election, historically African Americans are extremely low voter turnout during the midterm elections. High turnout during the presidential election, but low voter turnouts during midterm election. But however, the midterm elections are very important because many of our local officials are elected during the midterms. And your representative, either the state and federal, congressional representatives, they're elected during that time, but you need to be involved because the government that governs best is the government that governs the closest. So those local officials, they have a lot to do with your day-to-day lives. The president and your congressional senators, not so much as those local officials, your state representative, your mayors and governors.
Sure, they can determine everything from, or set the agenda when it comes to the sales tax that goes on, county option income taxes, bond referendums. There's a lot of things that they actually can do that will impact your lives on a day-to-day basis. While when we talk about the congressional election, talking about the presidential election, even though they can instill laws that will impact you, it takes longer for them to take effect. Whereas on the local level, the effect is normally a much shorter turnaround time, and as a result, it impacts you not only quicker, but over the long haul just as much. And so we need to make sure that we can continually go to the polls and vote.
Now I must say this, and John will agree with me on this, is that we're not advocating any political party. Judicial freedom riders, we don't advocate for any political party, because if one party if a party is pissing on us, we know it's pissed.
We don't let them tell us it's raining.
We're not going to let them tell us it's raining. But the national, that's in the news right now, as a concern with the Democratic convention, the chairman is concerned that there's going to be a low black voter turnout, and black voter turnout is very critical for the Democrats to get elected. If they have low voter turnout for those elections, especially in the Senate election, because there's a possibility that on the national level that the Democrats may lose the Senate, and they don't want to lose the Senate. And blacks make up almost like 90% of blacks. They vote Democrat.
Sure.
And if those voters don't come out, those Senate candidates, they're going to lose the election. So I think that it's important and we're not saying vote Democrat at all. Well, definitely I'm not saying that, but that's another story. But it's important to understand that black people have power in the vote, and you can elect who you want, who you choose to elect. Now I'll say this, and my research is that there's no way that Barack Obama gets elected without the power of the black vote. No way. His voter numbers, that the highest percentage of white vote that he got was 44%. And so having that large a percentage of black vote, that put him over the edge that he needed.
Well, I mean, it's a collective effort. He would not have gotten it without the white voters,
that's
without
sure.
the black voters, but
Right.
it just goes to highlight the fact that black voters have power. Have power. You can be the make or break, and so you need to make sure that you get out, you vote. One thing that you need to take a look at is that proportional assignment, whether or not it is contracts, whether or not it's in labor, in terms of number, in terms of salary, you have to take a look at having your candidates address whether or not they would be willing to proportionally assign based on the census jobs, contracts, and those kinds of things, simply because it gives you an opportunity to then, one, be involved in the mainstream in terms of capitalism, bringing dollars into your community. It also takes away the opportunity to then go and cry that, there's racial discrimination. Why? Because we'd be getting our fair share, which is something that we've never gotten in the past. So we have to hold the candidates' feet to the fire and say simply, if you want my vote, then you need to agree to do proportional assignment, and if you don't, then we're going to get you out of office.
Well,
no ifs, ands, and buts.
The other thing to that, John, to piggyback on what you're saying, is that it doesn't end at after the election. It doesn't end there. You have to, after he's elected, you need to hold him accountable. Hey, what's going on? What's happening here? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't there more black-owned firms getting government contracts or city contracts? Why aren't there more African Americans or blacks in our police, in police and in government? Why aren't there? So we can't just stop at just because you got your candidate elected and then it ends there. What is he doing for you? What's that song that Janet Jackson had? What have they done? What have you done lately? Yeah, that's the kind of thing. Hey, what have you done for me lately? Because if he hasn't done nothing, forget the promises. If he promises to do whatever it is and those promises aren't kept his first term, don't vote him back. Look, I said this, John, that politicians, they're servants.
Sure, they're servants.
They get a paycheck. They get a paycheck for a reason. Now, they work for you. That's including the president. He actually works for you. Your congressman, they work for you. Now, it's your decision, and it's whether or not you are deciding to make them work. If you decide just to say, well, hey, I got me a black representative up there, and that's it, then that is going to be it, because you're not going to get nothing. And for many, many years, John, we have gotten nothing for our votes.
Because we need to do more than just vote them in the office and then turn them loose. What we need to do is we need to monitor them for accountability, and then if they're not doing their job while they're in office, don't give them the full term to rest and do absolutely nothing for you. Start complaining. Understand what your grievance process is.
Right.
If they're receiving federal funds, for instance, for the police department, for the fire department, then what you have is the opportunity to take a look at that federal funding report, because they have to publish that on a public website, either theirs or for the state, through the expenditure report, so that you will then be able to see. And if they're not, then what you can do is you can complain to the granting federal organization, so that what they can do is do an investigation. So start complaining before they get out of office. You just don't give him any nights where he can sleep. Why? Because you're going to wholesale, as a community, start filing complaints to make them investigate the fact that you're not getting what you're supposed to. They signed that agreement stating that they will be non-discriminatory in the benefit that they give to the public. And so let's make sure that they actually do that. Take a look at your surveys and you can see, like most cities, unfortunately, what they have is a situation where blacks are hired mostly in sanitation.
Yeah, you're right.
Police department, fire department, they're getting federal funds, but yet they discriminate in the hiring practices.
Right.
So those are issues that we have to address.
We must address those issues. Well,
this has been another edition of The Naked Truth.
Please, we'd like to thank you for the time you watching this video. And if you be so kind, we can use your support, and please subscribe to this channel as we bring you more relevant topics to our community and as we fight for justice in the United States of America. May God bless you, and may God bless America.